Hello, this is Nathan here with MeatRx, and I'm interviewing a very special guest today. His name is Daniel, and he's here to tell us about his carnivore success story. So, hello, Daniel.
Hello,
How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank
You
you.
look like you're doing well. So, a little backstory: you've been carnivore for about 2.5 years now.
Correct. Yep.
Wow. So, okay. So, all right. What were your health concerns or issues before carnivore? If you could give us a list of those.
Sure. Well, you know, probably I was a relatively healthy person in regards that I didn't have to go to the doctor a lot um, but as I was aging, I was gaining some weight and I got a lot of acid reflux, GERD kind of things going on. And I was losing energy. I work in kind of a physically demanding occupation, and after a hard day at work, I would just be exhausted, and it would mostly take me 2 days or more to kind of get back to normal. And I guess just some of the other things that I figured was probably related to getting older. Uh, didn't have as much mental clarity as I would have liked, and just kind of moving slower, and but mostly it was the GERD, the heartburn that I had. That was one of my reoccurring health issues,
Hmm.
and I guess that was about it in terms of before I was carnivore. I mean, I could talk about when I was younger, and the diet I had was not very good. I mean, I had the standard American diet, which was a lot of processed food, fast food, and pretty much unhealthy food. Even though in the back of my mind, I knew that some of this stuff wasn't good for me. It's kind of hard to break the sugar addiction, and so it kind of blew my mind as I continued to, get older and had health concerns or whatever. This is before I actually made the switch to go to the carnivore way of eating. Um, you know, I I had a lot of the processed food and the sugar. You don't realize how much it gets into your system and gets you addicted. And so when I learned about the carnivore diet, or actually, let me regress a little bit. Before I became carnivore, I knew I had to do something for my health, and so we experimented with a lot of other different health ideas, and we ate a lot of healthy, what we thought were healthy foods like vegetables. Did a lot of green juicing, did a lot of green smoothies. I did a lot of organic vegetables, thinking this is all going to help, and it helped somewhat. I lost a little weight, and I actually psychologically, I think I was helping myself, but I wasn't just where I wanted to be, I guess, and so Tracy, she, was sort of the health person in the family. She was always searching for new and exciting ways to improve her health. And she stumbled on the carnivore diet. A friend of hers told her about it. And, as a young person, I grew up pretty much as a carnivore. My dad was a hunter, and we always had meat, but we also had the other stuff that, standard American diet kind of stuff, potatoes, bread, that kind of thing. Anyway, she told me about this carnivore diet, and it was kind of puzzling to me because we're kind of semi brainwashed about meat in our society, and I just couldn't imagine that you could maintain a healthy existence on meat only. Now, I like meat and I wanted meat in my diet, but because of a lot of indoctrination, I guess, that we receive, I thought you got to have fiber in your diet, or you can't just eat meat only because, don't you know about the ongoing situation about cholesterol and all that kind of stuff, And so at first I was a little skeptical, but it wasn't hard for me, because I really was, I guess I was a carnivore at heart. And so I started, studying along with her and realized most of the things we are taught about so many things in life aren't really true, I mean, you get bombarded all over the place with, all this false ideas about that, the true aspects of meat. Most of the time it's, hey man, don't you know about the ongoing problem of cholesterol, or, that's gonna clog your arteries, or, you can't eat red meat, you'll get colon cancer, and so it kind of, it was very, what would I say, uplifting to realize that actually meat is very nutrient dense and very healthy. And so after I made the transition, did some reading, got a lot of information from my wife, it just seemed like the natural way to go.
Yeah. So, well, you were mostly carnivore, it sounds like, or you wanted to be. So was it hard to implement the diet?
Well, you have, I guess, once you have certain things that you're used to eating, you have a psychological and I guess, somewhat of a physical addiction. So it was at first, there was a challenge, and I think that maybe the only, and I'm not sure this is negative, but one of the things that was set me back a little bit was I would get cramps, and that was a little puzzling, but I just had to study a little more and realize I needed to have a few more electrolytes and drink lots of water, water. And I also realized that how important fat was, the fat to protein rate, you need to have a fair amount of fat along with your protein and drink lots of water. And occasionally I get cramps now, 2.5 years later. But for the most part, I don't. And the only time I do is if I have an incredibly strenuous day in my job, and I may not, I'm almost positive I can say I don't take enough water in throughout the day, and that's what causes it, But for the most part, no cramps, and it's great. My mental clarity has increased. My energy levels, I'm kind of surprised at the amount, of energy I have, compared, it's like, say, when I was 50 is when I really started seeing my health kind of losing a step, so to speak, and I think right now I'm actually better than I was when I was 50, and maybe even in my 40s, my pant size that I wear now, I wear the same pant size as I wore when I was in high school. So I used to wear a 38, and now I wear a 33.
Wow.
But I didn't lose a lot of weight. I think my weight got redistributed, which I really believe that I really believe the carnivore diet it heals you from the inside out. It kind of rebuilds you, rebuilds your bones, rebuilds your muscles. And I still think I got a little ways to go, but I'm amazed at, I guess I'm really amazed at the fact that meat is that nutrient dense, I just like to eat it before, but now I understand a little more about it, and that is really nutrient dense, and it's really one of the best ways to go.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know that it's
You know?
full of vitamins and minerals and nutrients, more dense than most vegetables, actually. So,
Oh yeah. In fact, I was looking up a thing on the internet. Some of the most nutritious foods available, and I think it's just a matter of point of view. But one site brought up the first 7 things were like meat, beef liver being number one. And but then if they were a plant-based, I guess, person, they threw in some kale, spinach, but still, I think beef liver still was number one.
yeah, I used to eat a lot of spinach and kale, and they are not very satiating, let me tell you.
Right? Oh yes, we ate green smoothies till it came out of our ears, and mostly they were kale or spinach.
Ugh. Yeah, I remember doing that too. You're like, I guess this is good for me. It tastes terrible, so it must be.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, what would you say you and Tracy eat in a day now?
Well, we eat 2 meals a day, and we don't really fast, but we do, I guess, do intermittent fasting. Which is generally 18-hour period between our last meal and our next meal. But around noon, we eat. It could be I guess a half a pound, whether it would be eggs or hamburger, or maybe occasionally some pork. But mostly eggs or hamburger for lunch, and then in the evening, about 5 o'clock, we have either steak, ribeye steak, about a pound each, or we might have ground beef, lamb, venison, buffalo, just, whatever, occasionally chicken, but very little, and occasionally fish. But mostly it would be ruminant animals that we prefer, and I prefer grass-fed, grass-finished. I know that there's probably and there's a lot of people that can get a lot of healing benefits from just maybe getting grocery store meat or whatever, but I prefer grass-fed, grass-finished whenever and wherever possible, because I do believe that what the animal eats is important. I'm not a particular fan of the corn-fed. I don't think it's really, cows weren't, in my opinion, cows were not made to eat corn. It's not really good for them.
Yeah.
So they were made to eat grass, and I like to try to get organic if I can, but mostly grass-fed, grass-finished.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Free-range chicken eggs, free-range organic chicken if possible. But chicken is just not. We used to eat a lot of chicken when we first started, but it's not nearly as satisfying as beef is, or the ruminant animals.
Mm-hmm. I've noticed that too. Yeah. Yeah. So, okay. So, you mentioned your health problems like GERD and heartburn. And
Mm-hmm.
so did those go away right away, or was it a slow, gradual process?
Well, it was kind of a gradual process, and like I had told you, I'm going to tell you, at the peak of my GERD, man, I had the supersized bottle of Tums sitting on my bedstand. I mean, I would wake up and I'd chuckle down, 3-4 of those 2 or 3 times a night. And so I knew I had to get something addressed there. And that's when we kind of went into our journey for more, healthy eating. And so as I went into some of the green stuff, the smoothies or the juices and organic eating, we started buying organic food. It helped me substantially. But, I would still, and I realize now that the biggest culprit in almost all health issues, in my opinion, is the sugar. and I didn't give up the sugar, because, it's just, it's highly addictive, I mean, you get the programming in your head about the whole reward thing, and plus the fact that it's not nearly in every kind of food substance you buy, and so I would still have a certain level of recurring GERD, but and I actually kind of thought when I started eating meat that I'd start getting more GERD, but I was surprised that I didn't. And I think part of that is, just being disciplined in your eating. And because I would eat supper and then I might go watch a TV show or go to the movies and eat snacks, and then go to bed. And that was just an unhealthy practice right there. So by the time I was probably 6 months into carnivore, if I had heartburn or GERD, it was a rare occasion. And occasionally I even get it now, but I know that if I eat too much rendered fat, I can get it. That's what I've learned. I've learned that my own personal physical makeup, I don't think I tolerate rendered fat very well. The best fat I like is if I have cooked, like on the grill or something, and eat it that way, as opposed to like eating melted. You know what I mean? I call it rendered or melted. I think something happens to it chemically that isn't good for me when it's melted like that. Like I don't like eating too much bacon fat, and lamb can tend to have a lot of fat in it, and that seems to make my stomach upset. But beef, man, I can eat anything beef, doesn't bother me.
Yeah, it's the most satiating in my opinion too. Nothing fills me up and makes me go like beef does.
Oh, I know. It's like ribeye. It's like my ultimate favorite food.
That's awesome. Yeah, I can. I understand the chugging Tums. I had horrible acid reflux.
Wow.
And it was horrible. For someone my age, they could not believe someone my age had it that bad. But it's gone now.
Cool.
Carnivore diet. Did you drink a lot of bone broth? Because that's what I thought healed my acid reflux.
Actually, I did drink bone broth, or actually, we would make a carnivore kind of stew or soup, with bone broth as the base, and you're right. Bone broth has incredibly healing. And I actually think that we incorporated bone broth before we actually went into the full carnivore, lifestyle or whatever. So I'm sure that was a large aspect of helping, heal my gut. Because in fact, everything we know about it now, it's very gut healing,
Yeah, I noticed that too. And I think that's what helped me transition to was I was drinking it before I went carnivore.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, that did help a lot because I did not get the stomach upset or constantly in the bathroom when I first went carnivore. So
no,
I think that's probably why. Yeah, that's probably why.
Right.
I think we stumbled onto something, Daniel. So drink bone broth before you go carnivore.
There you go.
So if you had any advice for someone, let's say possibly in your age bracket, who maybe has health problems similar to yours before, that is hearing this and is not fully committed to the carnivore way of eating, but is thinking about it, what would you tell them?
I would say that you really need to go into it. I learned a long time ago that there's a way. A lot of times we want to reach a particular goal or a particular place in life, but we don't get our ducks in order, so to speak. And I would say you have to make a decision. Decide this is where you got to go. This is what's going to help you. And then once you make the decision, the desire will follow. A lot of people try to put the desire first. They'll look at this or look at that and go, oh man, I wish I could be like that. Or, oh, I wish I could do that. But you got to just make the decision then you'll get the desire. Then you got to take care of the details, you know, and the details are the long transitional part, you know, whatever it takes, you know, you just get disciplined or whatever and make a plan and stick to it the best you can and eventually get the deliverance, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say if you're thinking about it, riding the fence, I would say it's a very good choice. In fact, some of the people that I meet while I'm out working, went long ago, a fellow was telling me, he said, man, and now I never suffered from the effects of diabetes or pre-diabetes or whatever, but he was telling me how he went to the doc and the doc told me he's pre-diabetic and he didn't know what to do. And I said, man, look at this carnivore diet because it's amazing how many people have healed or helped heal their diabetes going just on carnivore. And boy, he was excited to do it. And I hadn't seen, you know, I work in a lot of different places. So I see these people, but I may not see them again. I haven't seen them again, but I gave him enough information. If he held on to it, he's probably doing real good now.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's a great story, Daniel. Yeah. So I know that this is going to help a lot of people, this experience. So, because a lot of people probably think that this way of eating is for bodybuilders or, you know, I don't know, famous people or you know, young people, but it's not. Even my grandmother now says she's carnivore and she's 79. So yeah, exactly. And, it's crazy. It really is. It's helping so many people. So very inspiring. And thank you very much for sharing your story with us. So,
well, thanks for having me.
yeah, well, all right. Thanks a lot. And you have a good night.
You too, Nathan. Take care.